Welcome back to the C-Noel MMA YouTube channel, and in today's video, I will be recapping and breaking down the UFC Fight Night that took place at our favorite, the Meta Apex, this past Saturday night. And the main event was a bit disappointing in my opinion, and let's go ahead and let's talk about it. Mario Bautista, like I said, he schools Vinicius Oliveira. I mean, that was the title of the video. Vinicius, man, he's not high level. He has some high level attributes. He has skill, he has power, he has athleticism. He's a weight bully for 135, but he's not high level. He wasn't conditioned properly. He had no resistance to Mario Bautista's grappling attacks whatsoever. Didn't even throw anything to necessarily give him a chance, even though his cardio was diminished within halfway through the first round. But he absolutely offered zero resistance to Mario Bautista, and honestly felt bad for Bautista because he's a very high-skilled MMA fighter, one of the best bantamweights on the planet at the moment, and probably the best division in the planet. And Bautista didn't even really get a chance to showcase all of the skills that he possesses in his first chance at being in the main event spotlight. While it was a small UFC card, still a main event on a UFC Fight Night. And I honestly thought it was just a pitiful performance from Vinicius Oliveira, but I also liked what I've seen from Bautista. He was very patient, and you could see he was probably more tentative than he has been in the past on the feet, but who could blame him coming out there and fighting Vinicius Oliveira, which if you watch the tape, man, that guy is super dangerous on the feet. That's what's got him to the dance. That's what's got him that matchup and into the top 15 of the UFC bantamweight division is his power, explosive strikes, unorthodox approach to the game, and I could understand why Bautista wanted to avoid that, and he did. I mean, Oliveira really did nothing of damage or significance. The first round was super awkward and super boring, with Vinicius, for the most part, just sitting there and throwing up kicks off his back and on the feet, threw a couple of heaters off the back foot and some kicks here and there, but really didn't land much of anything. Bautista, Oliveira's leg kicks were decent, but he did nothing. Bautista on the feet in the first round, really the entire fight, he didn't do much. He stuck a jab out there, looked to go to the body here and there, but in the second round started to work some pretty solid body kicks, which was a great idea, seeing as Vinicius was already wearing down 2.5 minutes into the entirety of the fight in that first round. And I know there's rumors of a broken arm, broken hand, something like that, but I even with that, how can your endurance and cardio be that pitiful? And it was strange this week because these fight nights that take place at the Apex, you don't hardly see much marketing for them. I seen a little bit more than usual, I felt like. That could have just been me, for some reason, being on social media more or something like that. But they were heavily marketing Vinicius in the promo packages for this fight night, and just in general on social media, on the UFC pages and whatnot. And he didn't live up to the hype whatsoever. And while I thought there would be for sure some resistance against Bautista, but he just showed how low level he is. And with that finishing sequence from Bautista on the ground and his ability to continuously pressure Oliveira, use his grappling advantage and obvious endurance advantage over Oliveira, I thought he could have coasted very easily in that fight, just pressed Vinicius against the cage, been less aggressive with takedowns and putting him on his back and getting to half guard, advancing, transitioning, so on and so forth. But no, he pushed for the finish, and he's seen that the water was warm with Oliveira's endurance blood. I mean, it was a pitiful performance from him, but I liked how I seen Bautista, as soon as he got it to the ground in that second round, was looking for ground and pound, even though Oliveira off his back was showing pretty good defensive tendencies there and scrambling. But when Bautista was stacking the guard of Oliveira, landing some pretty nasty punches from that stack guard position, and then getting Oliveira in the crucifix, working to a Kimura, then Oliveira scrambles up, and then immediately Bautista takes he kept that crucifix arm in position, immediately transitions to take the back, sinks the hooks in, sinks in the rear naked choke, and Oliveira taps instantly. And even if he did have a broken arm or whatever, just the pitiful cardio and preparation Oliveira had coming into this fight is just such a disgrace to be in a 5-round main event even though it's at the Apex. But you get a chance to fight someone who fought Umar Nurmagomedov very closely. People, if you're a fan of the sport, know Mario Bautista is a very high-level MMA fighter in the UFC's bantamweight division. And the performance in showing no resistance whatsoever was absolutely abysmal of Oliveira. And it really actually made me angry. And I felt bad for Bautista because, fighters fight max 3 times a year. It's more like 2 times a year now. Even though I think Bautista is more of a guy who will stay active for sure. Called for Corey Sandhagen after the fight, which I think that'd be a phenomenal bantamweight matchup right there. If they don't go with Sandhagen and O'Malley, I think that's what you do with Sandhagen. I think that's a great matchup for Bautista. I'd probably pick him in that fight if I'm being honest. Nonetheless, though, Bautista proves why he's one of the top bantamweights in the division. I was absolutely correct in my pick on this fight. I told you he would school him, and he did absolutely that. And honestly, worse than what I even thought. I was very disappointed in Vinicius because even though I picked Bautista and I was very certain he was going to win, of course, I'm not opposed to someone who is super dangerous, powerful, exciting in Vinicius Oliveira coming up and surging through the bantamweight division to capitalize on this position he had in this main event and get a knockout or something like that and solidify himself as a true contender in the division with his marketability and skills and style in the UFC. So I just thought that was awful for Oliveira. And if I'm the UFC, I don't reward him at all with a top. You don't even give the guy a top 15 matchup, I think. You give someone on the come up in the bantamweight division the chance to take Oliveira's spot and make Oliveira fight for his spot in the rankings after a performance like that. I thought it was very disrespectful to the position he got granted in this fight. And honestly, an 11th ranked position that he probably didn't even... Kyler Phillips is a good win, I guess, to be fair, but just really made me angry and left a bad taste in my mouth after watching this main event. I was very not impressed whatsoever with Oliveira, but Bautista, he went out there and in that situation did exactly what he should and got a submission win over Oliveira. And I'm very high on Bautista. He's a guy I think will continue to improve in the division. I don't know necessarily if he'll be champion just because the dynamic skill sets that are at the top of the bantamweight division currently, and probably for the future time being with how stacked this division is, as we'll talk about some of these undercard matchups as well that happened in the bantamweight division. I don't know if he's a championship guy. I think he lacks a little bit on the feet and can be plotty at sometimes, but he's still one of the best in the world. Top 10, probably more like top 5. Who's better? Maybe. Yan, Merab, Umar, O'Malley, Sandhagen. Bautista against Yadong, I think that's a very interesting matchup as well. I'd like to see that one as well if they don't move with the Sandhagen matchup like Bautista wanted. Nonetheless, though, this guy is good. He deserves his stake in the bantamweight division, and I hope he keeps working and moves even further throughout his career. He's a workhorse, and he's a guy you want to root for, I think. I know after the Aldo fight, a lot of people hated on him. After that performance against Mix, the high-level skill he showed against Umar, even though it was a loss, and him coming out here and finishing a young, hungry contender in Oliveira, even though he didn't fight like that, he deserves to keep getting pushed up the rankings as long as he stays consistent and winning for sure. But not much you can say about this fight. I thought it was kind of anticlimactic, and I was disappointed because I was very excited for this fight. I thought it'd be a lot more high skill level, more back and forth positions, moving into the round, seeing how Vinicius would do going into those later rounds and championship main event rounds. But we didn't get that. We got Bautista just going to work on an unprepared, slow, unconditioned Oliveira, which I thought was very, very disappointing. Moving down to the co-main event, Kyoji Horiguchi absolutely puts it on Amir Albazi. Did exactly what I thought he would. First round was a little closer. Amir had a couple of shots land here and there and had more control time against the fence and such. But I don't even think he landed an entire takedown this entire fight. Yeah, 0 for 7. Horiguchi is very dangerous in this flyweight division. He doesn't have that necessarily that KO power. Albazi's pretty tough though, to be fair. But how he sits on the outside and works a pretty solid jab that I think he needs to do even more of. He needs to incorporate more straight darting in straight shot combinations with that karate style, because we all know those straight shots get there before looping shots. But even when he does rely on those looping shots more, man, he is pretty accurate with those. They're not super crisp, but he gets in and out of there, lands those overhands, and gets out of range. And while I think he is a level or two above Amir Albazi. Don't know how the guy's in the top 15, really. It was a solid performance, and he did break his hand in the first round. That has been confirmed, and he still was able to put it on Amir Albazi, and as the fight continued, just got better and better, outstriking Albazi on the feet, minimizing control time, and not allowing a single takedown. Horiguchi is a very high-level flyweight, makes DJ, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, legacy look even better after Horiguchi's been gone from the UFC for a while, coming in and beating guys like Albazi and Tagir and Lembekov, who were kind of some of the similar, I guess, range of skill, some of DJ's title defenses that people criticize, but Horiguchi is a high-level title defense for DJ, so good for Mighty Mouse. But Horiguchi, he's a real deal. He's 5? So he's been on the older side, especially for the lower weight classes, but I still think he gives the top guys at flyweight all the problems in the world with the style. He's funny. I want to fight you, Van! I thought that was pretty good. Japanese. Hey, when Asian people, like good vibes Asian people, like my man Horiguchi, try to speak English, it's the best. And the call out, I want to fight you! Which, in all honesty, he's probably 1 or 2 away from a title shot, because Pantoja has a guaranteed title shot upon his return, whenever that be. I hope they get that sorted out quick. Apparently he's not supposed to be out that long, so I think the Pantoja matchup should be ran back ASAP. Then you have Tatsuro Taira coming off the win over Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno's about to fight against Loner Kavanaugh, which is pitiful matchmaking. You could have done better on short notice. Come on, UFC. And then you have Manel Kape coming over a finish over Brandon Raw Dog Royval, who's a very high-level flyweight in his own right. So maybe Horiguchi Royval is the next fight to make there, just because you're a little log-jammed at the top right now with flyweight. Maybe you run Taira and Manel Kape while you do Van Pantoja, if that's likely in the next couple of months. I know Van wants a fight soon, but Horiguchi's right there. He's dangerous, unorthodox, hard to game plan for, hard to fight when you get in there. Good transitions on the ground, a lot of good scrambles in this fight and against Tagir Lembekov. I'm glad he's back in the UFC. He's a great re-addition to the roster, and I was happy to see him win. Let's go ahead and move down. Okay, this billion-dollar company website doesn't want to work correctly. We're not even going to really talk about this. Cut them both. Cut them both. It's a disgrace. I hate the heavyweight division right now. It's a disgrace to Tom Aspinall and the greats that were there before him. It's pitiful right now. Gelatin Almeida's horrible. The only fight I got wrong on this card. And Rizvan, what are you doing? He grabbed the glove the entire fight. Nobody wants to talk about that. He literally grabbed the glove and pressed his head against Gelatin the entire fight. Both of them suck. Cut them from the division. Pitiful. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It was disgusting. Freaking blah. Go back on the drugs, Rizvan. You look horrible. Jeez. I can't. I'm so... They're horrible, man. This was a pretty good fight right here. Little Diet Coke swig. Mikhail Olszewski and Marc-Andre Barriault. I think this was Marc-Andre Barriault's best performance, even though it was in a loss and pretty decisive coming down towards the end. I think this was his best performance. He showed his ability to be on the feet with a guy who is more technically superior in Mikhail Olszewski, and gave him problems in that second round, if I remember correctly. I think I scored that second round for the power bar, Marc-Andre Barriault. Maybe not. Maybe I was leaning too much on that last little bit where they were kind of stuck in those clinch positions and Marc-Andre landing those elbows. But Mikhail gets it done. I thought he would make it look a lot easier. He didn't. All credit to Marc-Andre Barriault, though, for coming out there and actually having a decent performance for once in his career. But Mikhail, he was just a level above Marc-Andre. He's more technical on the feet. He needs to work on his cardio, though. That first round, he was landing good, thudding, sharp strikes. As the fight goes on, they don't do the same amount of damage. He starts looping more, not as quick on his feet. He has to work on that if he wants to get any further in this middleweight division. But predicted this one correctly as well. He was just too good for him. More technical. Did the overall damage. I think they gave it 30-27, maybe a 29-28 in there, but it was a competitive fight with a clear Olszewski win. Pretty entertaining. Lots of damage going both ways. I enjoyed this fight, but Mikal gets it done as, Mikal usually does, man. He's a super, like, when you match up Mikal against these mid to low level middleweights, he's gonna win. He is better than those guys, and he's not, like, he doesn't do all this crazy stuff or anything, but he is sharp enough at what he does that he beats these lower level guys in the UFC, and I'm a fan. I like Polish fighters for some reason. I don't know why, but I am a fan of Mikal, and he gets it done. I was hoping maybe for a finish towards the end, or maybe a more solidifying performance for him. But, Mark, like I said, I honestly think this was Marc-Andre's best performance to date. Just showing a little bit of improvement in skill and hanging in there tough with a guy who is clearly a better mixed martial artist. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how I did that. Moving down the card, Farid Basharat gets the decision win over Gene Matsumoto, which I do agree with. 29-28 for Farid. I cannot stand the Basharat bros. Can't even really tell you why. I just don't like looking at them. And the way they fight, like, even though it was, I don't know how they scored this a split. It was obvious the first two to Farid, last round to Matsumoto. Matsumoto, though, very tough guy, but I was also angry with him because he had, especially towards that end of the round, man, the end of that third round, he had chances. He was hurting Farid. He was getting him backing up. He was gassed. And he would just stand there plotting and just wing shots instead of trying to put together a tight, maybe take a little power off, tighter, slicker, sharper combinations, and just sitting there waiting to be taken down by Farid. And I was very mad about that because I was pulling for Matsumoto after he was making a comeback throughout the fight. But to be fair to Farid, he is pretty high level. He looked good on the feet. A lot more sharper than I've seen in his past fights. Doing more damage. I liked this fight probably the best out of any of Basharat's fights previously. Still don't necessarily like him though. But he's pretty good, man. Matsumoto is a solid fighter too. Both, like, these are younger guys in the bantamweight division that are kind of coming up. Farid, though, I don't necessarily see him top 15, though. I think he fights some of these guys that are on the cusp, top 15, or towards the bottom of the rankings. I think those guys beat him. I think he wilts a little. If he doesn't have a clear skill advantage, I think he wilts. And he wilted later into this fight against Matsumoto as well. Nonetheless, though, it was a really entertaining fight, back and forth. Had me on the edge of my seat a little bit. It was a bit of a hate watch for me. I don't know why I dislike them so much, but I do not like the Basharat bros. But good win for Basharat, toughing it out. Matsumoto, though, he could have made some more adjustments as that fight went on to get the comeback win. I really think that, and I was angry that he didn't. He was sloppy. He needs to work on that cardio, too. He's getting so plotty and flat-footed, and he could have taken advantage of Farid, because Farid was tired in those positions, too, and he would use all the little bit of energy he had to shoot a simple double leg and easily take down Matsumoto. So, it was a good fight overall, though. Pick right again, though. Like, we're going to talk about how good my picks are at the end of this video. We're going to speed things up a little bit after this. Dustin Jacoby. Why did I say Jacoby? Dustin Jacoby absolutely starches Julius Walker. First round, it got a little hairy with Julius getting some takedowns. Not doing much in the grappling, though, and Dustin was honestly, he had a couple of nice dust-em-up shots on the feet for Walker as well. But in that second round, he just found his range. Landed a brutal, was it a right hand, I believe? Got him up against the fence. Landed a nice, I believe it was an uppercut combination. Then Dan Miragliotta, he clearly waves his hand that the fight is over and then tells Dustin Jacoby to keep fighting. And Julius Walker is on his knees like, what? And Jacoby just bink and puts him on his back and finally gets him finished after 30 more strikes, which I don't know if Miragliotta should have necessarily stopped it when he really did initially stop the fight. But you can't go in and out. I thought that was, they did this whole Dan Miragliotta's 500th fight reffing in the UFC, and then absolutely does a horrible job reffing his 500th fight. Him and Chris Taioni are two of the worst refs in the UFC, or in MMA in general. They should not be allowed to do it anymore. They're awful. Nonetheless, though, Jacoby is super underrated. Arguably beat Khalil Roundtree. He's a top 15 guy in the light heavyweight division. Give him ranked matchups. He deserves it. He's older, skilled, fun, entertaining, cool guy, fun guy to root for. I've been a fan of Jacoby ever since he got his contract on the Contender Series. I remember watching that fight on a Tuesday night. I believe he was in the UFC before that a little bit as well. Kickboxing background. He's Chama approved. I believe they had a few fights in Glory. But Walker, like I predicted this one, he's just like, I thought he had more success with takedowns and stuff that Jacoby could probably work on a little bit, because even though he did a good job defending and off his back and getting back to his feet, he was getting taken down kind of easily against Walker, who I think is pretty low level. Had nothing to offer whatsoever on the feet, and Jacoby took perfect advantage of that. Beautiful knockout performance for Jacoby. I wonder who got the bonuses. I need to look that up. Moving down to the card, Daniil Donchenko. He's a marauder. Alex Morono, though, what a tough guy. I mean, was it one or two leg kicks and that leg was pretty much done the rest of the fight for Morono? But he toughed it out and landed some decent shots throughout the rest of that fight here and there against Donchenko that had Donchenko bloodied up a little bit. But Donchenko just kept marching forward, pouring it on with the combinations. Got a little tired as the fight kept going on, though. He has to work on that. Story of this card, I believe, is cardio. You got to work on that. I believe in the post-fight press conference, he said he fought a stupid fight, Donchenko, after that first round, which I do kind of agree with. I worry that he could kind of end up being a worse version of Fiziev in the welterweight division, just because on the ball, like, he has good power, his shots are good, his kicks are great, moves forward, but when he moves into that boxing range and throws those combinations, he gets a little lazy. He just keeps his hands up here and wings more. You got to tighten that up to get to that high level, especially in the welterweight division right now with how high level the welterweight division is as itself. He needs to tighten up those boxing mechanics for sure. But nonetheless, though, he's super fun, entertaining. I hope they build him up. I always want to tune in when my boy Daniil Donchenko is fighting. And all the credit to the world to Morono, who is a savvy vet out there and just eating shots, eating those leg kicks, falling to his back, getting back up, getting off the stool every round and toughing it out to that first round, to the final bell. So all the credit to him. But Daniil, man, he's tough. There is a lot to work with there, and he has a lot. Like, his kicks are already very good. His pace, as long as he works on the cardio, that pace is going to be hard to deal with how hard Daniil freaking hits, man, and the shot selection. Just tighten up that boxing and cardio, and Daniil's a real threat in the welterweight division, in my opinion. Moving down to the card, what'd I say? First round knockout, man. Nico Price. I mean, nothing to offer at this point in the UFC. Vertinikov, who's kind of low level, okay on the feet and solid power. Easy knockout in the first round. I mean, this was a low level fight, just watching how Price moves around out there and got standing KO'd, like he was leaning against the fence and just, like, it was horrible. Vertinikov took one nice shot, put him up against the fence, and just landed some haymakers on him. Fight gets called off. Good performance by Vertinikov. Absolutely called this one to a T, man. Nico Price, he just has nothing to offer. Vertinikov, I don't think he's that great either, but there's something to work with there. Like, he's decently well-rounded. He has somewhat of a presence in the octagon as well. So, I don't know. He's kind of in an odd position. He doesn't have the best record. Beaten maybe one of the worst signed fighters on the active roster. So, I don't know what you do with Vertinikov next, but you cut Nico Price. He does not deserve to be in the UFC. Moving down to the card. I don't even think I watched that fight. I think I was cooking chicken. Javid Baccarat against Gianni Vasquez. Gianni Vasquez taking the fight on short notice, but I think he was 5 pounds over the weight limit. He took it on like 4 or 5 days notice, though, so it's whatever. Gave Javid a run for his money, though, there in the second round. First round got dropped. Javid looked pretty good on the feet. He's more sloppy than Farid, though, on the feet. Kind of the same style and technique, just kind of opens himself up more. In that second round, Gianni Vasquez went out there and beat up on Javid, won that round, however, did end up on his back in that second round, even though he took that round. And then in the third round, he was having some success early, but then Javid was just able to control him for the rest of that. Yeah, it was a pretty good fight, though, overall. Yanni deserves for sure another shot in the UFC. If he can make some improvements, he's a fun, decent fighter in the bantamweight division. He marches forward, somewhat powerful. Maybe that was due to the weight miss as well. Scrappy, wasn't bad off the bat on his back or off the ground either. Just Javid was just a level above there and was able to control him when he needed to, and that's what got him done. That's what got it done for Javid, man. The old Baccarat bros, who I cannot stand. I watched this fight. What happened? What happened in this fight? Wong Kong won. I don't care, man. That's what we'll talk about. Muin Gafurov and Jakub Wicklacz. Pretty decent fight throughout the whole time. Looked like Muin Gafurov was moving into a pretty easy. It had probably been like a 29-28 decision for Gafurov, and then Wicklacz gets him to tap at the very last second by rear naked choke. What a performance by Wicklacz. He needs to tighten up some stuff, though, if he wants to move on throughout the bantamweight division. I don't like Gafurov either. Like, he thought he was so swaggy. He was like taunting and stuff. Like, bro, you're ugly. Shave your back hair. You have a patch of back hair that's disgusting. You missed weight by, I think, 6 pounds. You looked tubby. I don't like him. I'm glad he lost. Wicklacz, though, buzzer beater submission win. That was very impressive. I liked seeing that from him. I like his kicks, but he throws too many of them and gassed out a little early. He just whiffs on a lot of them, but a lot of them are effective too. He's kind of like a bantamweight Rainer de Ritter in a weird way. Kind of looks like him, fights like him, similar kind of in a way too. More of a grappler, but can do some weird stuff on the feet that messes you up. But if he can work on that cardio and add some more things to his arsenal of strikes, and be more consistent and more picky-choosy with those kicks, because he wasted so much energy just throwing random kicks for no reason. But, hey, he gets it done. I was pumped to see that. They went to review, and, I remember watching, I was like, he tapped before the bell went off. And I believe it was, with his far side left hand, and the stupid replay kept showing the right side. It was retarded. But Wicklacz gets it done. I was pumped to see that. I don't even think I watched that fight. Oh, actually, this girl was kind of decent. Segula. That was a decent fight, actually. Especially for WMMA. Let's see how we did on the picks. 1-0. That don't count. I picked Tagir. That don't count. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 6-1, 7-1, 8-1. Dude, I think on 2026, I went 8-1. I think last week I went 9-1. Heavyweight, screw it up again. The Patty and Justin card, I think only picked 3 wrong on that card, which ain't fantastic, but not bad. So I've only got 5 picks wrong to start 2026. We're on a heater. I know my stuff. And if you like MMA content creators that know their stuff, CNOL MMA is a place for you. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Kind of went a little fast. Not a whole lot of drama or anything like that. Some solid fights, though. I enjoyed watching them on a nice, crisp Saturday night, usually out socializing at those hours, but I just had to put in the work and put in the time and watch UFC Fight Night live at my favorite place in Apex. Nevertheless, if you've enjoyed this video, please like it. Drop a comment below if you like me, alright? I got a pretty good mustache, but nonetheless, though, hope you enjoyed this video. If you've watched all the way through, I appreciate you, and I thank you, and I love you. My picks are the best. Watch my picks videos and my recap videos, because I get my picks right. I know this game. I know this sport. I've been watching it since birth. And that's going to do it for today, guys. If you've watched all the way through, again, I love you and I thank you. And please subscribe. Please like and subscribe. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I'll see you on the next one. Christ is good.